Hello, Faith Community. It's Pastor Cam here. I just wanted to share a thought this morning. This is something I've shared somewhat with the board and with the worship team, but I wanted to share it with the wider community and anybody who happens to see this out on internet land. The thought comes from Luke chapter 5, verses 1 to 11, and it goes something like this. On one occasion, while the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God, he was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, and he saw two boats by the lake. But the fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. Getting into one of the boats, which was Simon's, he asked him to put out a little from the land. And he sat down and taught the people from the boat. And when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch." And Simon answered, "Master, we toiled all night and took nothing, but at your word we will let down the nets." And when they had done this, they enclosed a large number of fish, and their nets were breaking. They signaled to their partners on the other boats to come and help them. And they came and filled both the boats, so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord." For he and all who were with him were astonished at the catch of fish that they had taken. And so also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. And Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on you will be catching men." And when they had brought their boats to land, they left everything and followed him. What I want to share from this passage, well, there's a few things I want to share. First, sometimes we stop our service of God. We do a little bit, like say Jesus got in the boat. We wrote him out. He taught. So we say, okay, I've done my bit. I can stop listening to Jesus now because I've done my portion. I've done my little bit of serving Jesus, and everything's all good now. Or the next thing, the biggest thing is what was happening here. The dynamic that was happening in this particular passage is that here you have Jesus, a teacher, and you have Simon Peter, a fisherman. Simon Peter is the expert in fishing. Jesus, he's the expert in teaching. He's an expert in religious stuff. And Jesus gives Simon instructions on how to fish. He could have easily said, Jesus, I know what I'm doing. I did what I know how to do. I'm the expert here. We tried to catch all night. And to some extent, he started to do this. He started saying, "Hey, we tried all night. It didn't work." But eventually he listened and he followed Jesus. When we talk about listening, trusting, and obeying, there's certain areas in our lives where we feel like we're experts, where we know what we're talking about. And we might very well be experts in that field. But who are we compared to God? God might, maybe the exact thing that we need to do is the same thing that we've always done, but just at a different time. Or maybe the very thing that we need to do is stop doing the same thing that we've always done. But in either case, the most important thing that we can do is recognize that God is God and we are not. And if he asks us to do something, trust him. That's what Simon Peter did here. And when he did, he brought in the biggest catch he had ever brought in, enough to fill two whole boats. And, it's more than enough for two whole boats. And when they came in, when they saw all the fish that they had taken, they left fishing because they realized that they had somebody, they had found Savior, they had found somebody worth listening to. And so they spent their time from that point following Jesus and fishing for men rather than fishing for fish. Not that there was anything wrong with fishing for fish, but they left that whole big catch because they realized that Jesus was good. And they would not have come to that same level of understanding, that level of seeing who God is and what he's capable of doing in their lives if they hadn't listened, trusted, and obeyed. This is what God is asking for in our life, to listen to him, trust him, and obey him. Knowing that as much of an expert as we might be or think we are, God knows better. So I pray that today you would tune your ears to hear what he is saying through his word and through other sources where he teaches. But always know that whatever he has to say always will agree with his word. God bless you. May you listen, trust, and obey.